Hello Aquarius and welcome to Divine Duality Tarot. My name is TJ. Today I'm going to do a love reading for you Aquarius to kind of get the idea of the romantic energy going into, or not necessarily going into since we're already in April, but during the month of April, get some good romantic energy, find out what the love connection is between you and whoever your interest may be. I always like to have some forewarning as to what I'm going into every month. Not a big fan of surprises, and if you're watching this, you probably aren't either. So I'm going to try to get you the best possible read without taking up too much of your time. Now, the way I do this is I am going to lay out two that's going to represent your energy, Aquarius, your energy going into this reading for April. And then I'm going to draw another two for your partner, whoever Aquarius, whoever your partner, romantic interest, whatever this person may be. And then I'm going to put two. What is the main connection between Aquarius and their partner for April? What do we got here? What do we got here? Give me something good. Give me what's going on for this reading in April. Okay. Got a lot of movement. All right. Now, if any of these meanings, usually everything comes off pretty clear, but if any of this stuff doesn't quite resonate, I do have a second deck here for clarification. A lot of times things have been very precise. I've been able to get a good idea of what's going on, but every once in a while that one card is just screaming, hey, I know I make sense, but make me make more sense. Make me make more sense. Remember that one. When you want a promotion at work, just lean in. Make me make more sense. That'll probably go over pretty well. Don't do that. So anyway, Aquarius, since you're the star of this, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. Let you know what these mean first. We have the 10 of Swords, which is the ending. It's a new beginning. The ending of a truth, the beginning of a new truth. In a general sense, that could be you have been living under the impression that the color red is actually green. I know it's kind of trippy to think about, the whole, hey man, what if what you see is red's actually blue? This is more so your entire life you've been under the assumption that red fire truck is actually red, when in reality you've been completely bullcrap your entire life and like, oh, red's actually green, that's a green fire truck, not a red one. So now you are to a new truth. Or it could be that you had the truth and are now believing a lie, because truth is subjective a lot of times in love and relationships. There are very real concrete truths. You are you are not somebody else. You are the Aquarius. If you're the one that this reading's resonating with, that's you, that's your person. But truth itself can vary through time. So keep this as a new truth has started. And then you have the Moon. The Moon is a clarity in a relationship. This is where that truth comes to light. I'm getting an idea here. So, Aquarius, whatever this situation is that you're dealing with this month has been complete bullcrap up until now. And you've realized it. The truth has come to light. You've seen it. You know it. Probably went with your gut. A lot of times it's really hard to do that because we listen to what other people have been telling you, or might be blind to the very clear, obvious signs going on. But in this case, what you've been led to believe, I know how I said with the general that you could have been right and now believe something that's wrong. I believe in this case, since the relationship's truth has come to light, the moon is a very powerful card when it comes to those kind of things. You are now realizing the actual truth of the situation. The subjective truth is now the actual truth. You now know what's going on. You have been awakened to it. You are finally clear. Finally, and with it being a new truth, I think that a lot of times the moon can have a lot to do with honest conversation. This might be more you conversing with yourself. Have you been telling yourself that what's not true? Have you been more so fooling yourself into thinking? Keep those things in mind. We'll see how this all plays together. But for you, you're at least coming to that realization. You know something's wrong. So let's go with your partner, whoever this interest is. They're starting it out with a 3 of Wands, which is expansion and growth. So, interesting. So expansion and growth, especially when it comes with wands. Wands usually represent your will, your power, your passion to do something. For a desire for expansion and growth, this can be sometimes the overall meaning can be personal or relationship growth. Normally when it comes to will, only, a relationship itself cannot have will. 2 people will the direction of it. So this can be a very selfish card if it's detrimental to you. So, what's a really good way to describe it? So somebody who's really, really self-centered, but is driving for success, can drag other people up with them, or they can leave everybody behind. But this person only cares about their own success. So keep that meaning in mind. And then they have the Hierophant. The Hierophant is conformity. It is traditional roles. It's filling a place in the order. It is, oh my goodness. There's a very specific, it's like, man, when there's a word, it's right there. Because I'm not conforming to what the meaning is, apparently, because that one word, well, either way, conformity, rules, traditions, traditional roles is more so the one that I would kind of keep this person in line with. Together, what we have here is somebody who sees success and is going to be themselves in that regard. They are conforming to the way it is, and they're using that as a way of getting success. It's like a time-proven method. They're falling back on time-proven methods. There's no outside of the box anymore. They are within that scope, and they're going to use whatever that is for their benefit. They're trying to expand their vision. They're trying to expand their view. They're all the while remaining in that same stability, within that same rule set. May sound a little more confusing than it is, but when you're talking about somebody's core beliefs, when you're talking about somebody's core role in a relationship, traditionally you have the masculine role and you have the feminine role. You know, one person always seems to take more of a lead, more of a out, go get things kind of role, and the other one, you know, traditionally is in the more home nesting minded individual. When you have those traditional roles, things fall into place within the expectation of those roles. If this relationship is not that, if you have two people that are nesting, let's say, then there's no, you may be stable, but there's no masculine, you know, push to, you know, do more. If you also have two masculine pushes to do more, you don't have any stable at home. It's just two people doing their own thing, sharing an apartment. You know what I mean? Like, this person is fulfilling a role and really pushing into it. I think they're starting to change who they want to be in a relationship. But let's find out what this means coming together. You have the Eight of Wands, which is movement, fast movement. Could be new romance. And then you have the Ten of Pentacles, which is wealth in the physical world. The point of contention here is romance and wealth. Here we go. You're not seeing things where they should be, and this person's priorities are somewhere else. You, Aquarius, are in a neglected situation because the things that are in contention, the things that are between you two, is romance, is action. This person they're not going out of their, like, they're becoming stale in the romance department because they're focused too much on other things, possessions. They're focused on the physical world, wealth. Is this person working too much? Is this person playing too much and leaving you kind of off to the side? Because with that being the point of contention, them being in the work mindset, the Hierophant, when it comes to work, I know this is a love reading, but when it comes to work and life, those two things go hand in hand. If you're successful, then you're successful. If you're unsuccessful, you bring that negative emotion home. The Hierophant, when it comes to work, is the traditional work life. Some people make more money by getting a new job and, you know, don't work as hard. Some people, when they want more money, work even harder. This person is falling into that. Are they focusing more on what they should be? Are they focusing more on wealth and leaving romance behind? The big worry I have, you've known that for a while. This is nothing new. Because the honest conversation here, I was thinking that's what it was, but I always want to know exactly what the connection is before 100%, you know, declaring that's what it is. But this honest conversation, earlier I mentioned this honest conversation is with yourself. You've known that it was going this way for a while, but we don't, you know, was it temporary? Did they tell you, oh, it's only going to be a while, I'm just going to work, you know, 2 weeks of overtime, and then, you know, I'll claw back to 40 hours or 20 hours or whatever the norm was before that. And then 2 weeks went by and it was, oh, I'm going to have to do another week. And another week went by, and, you know, it just suddenly became standard that this person was more so with work than they were with you, more so with entertainment, more so with with games or friends, you know, something else that leads to wealth, usually work, has that been their focus? Do they come home, you know, contentious because they don't feel like they're where they're at? And when they come home contentious, when they come home upset, when they come home tired because they were just at work for 10, 11 hours, there's no energy for romance. So here you are, sitting by yourself, thinking, great, just great. They're in there sleeping, I'm in here by myself, what do I do? What do I do? Are you finally realizing that that's the status quo? Here's what I'm worried about. Are you going to accept that it's a status quo? That's a personal choice on your part. It truly is. Because if you accept what it is, then what they're doing is going to be validated in their mind. It's like with any other behavior, like with a kid or something. If you have a jar of cookies sitting out and you continuously let the kid get into the jar of cookies, they're going to think, oh, I can just get into the jar of cookies. So then when you come along later on and you're like, hey, get your hand out of the cookies, they're even more upset because, but I thought I was allowed to. Nobody ever said no. Are you accepting that this is who they are? Is this what they have become? Is this what they always were? And we as humans, especially early on in a relationship with anything, could be a person, could be, you know, a TV show, with a job, we have that honeymoon phase where everything is sparkly and wonderful. And then after a while, the shiny veneer fades off and it's like, oh my goodness, I am literally operating a fryer. I am putting potatoes into a fryer. Oh my goodness, what happened? Like, you remember the whole like introduction videos? I remember one of mine where they made the workplace out to be this amazing place. In one of the videos they were interviewing, what's it like to work here? Oh, it's so great. It's fireworks every night. No, it was not like that. It was not like that. Good times, good times. Speaking of good times, I want to know one more thing before I end this off. You know what? I'm going to do this with my clarifying deck. I'm going to ask two more questions. What happens to our Aquarius here in April if they accept this as is? What is an outcome if this continues on as is? Are things going to be good? Are things going to be bad? Where are we at? Okay. Well, that's a interesting one to come out. Okay. Now, what is an outcome if Aquarius says, you know what, I'm done with this crap, I'm going to address this and see what is going on here. Going to address it, make a change for the better. Okay, so the questions were, a brief recap. You have a situation where this person is not focusing on you. Aquarius, you are realizing that this person is not who they were, who they are. They've either transformed into something because of maybe hardship, you know, and I hope this isn't the case, but if you've lost something like a home or a car, something that you really need, you know, it does warrant having to put in some extra effort. It truly does. If you want things, you got to work for it. It's just how the world is. So it's either, you know, some hardships come up and they're working extra long and you feel like, you know, you're being ignored, or is this who they've always been and you're just now seeing it, you know, maybe not just now seeing it, but just now understanding it. It's something come up, you know, a friend come along and say, wow, my relationship with whoever is really great. How's your relationship? And just like, you know, all the lights turn off except for the one right in your face. Like, great. Yeah, great. And it's like suddenly all the problems come to mind. So the question was, the questions were, what happens if you just let it go? Let things continue as is. What's the month looking like for you? And then this question was, what happens if you do something about it? Address it. Try to make a change. Do something about it. You know, at least bring up the problem. Hey, you've been not quite. What's going on here? Who am I? Are you more married to them? You married to me? You boyfriend and girlfriend to your work? Or your boyfriend and girlfriend to me? Like, what's going on? You know, that kind of thing. So let's find out if you do nothing. Already leading into it was something powerful. Death. Which is transformation of a relationship. It's transformation in a pretty foreseeable way. A lot of times death is unexpected, but when death comes, something else begins. Death is never the end, it's only the beginning of a new phase. A new thing has begun. This is a reiteration, a more powerful reiteration of that Ten of Swords. This is telling you that you are going to feel more of the same, only more powerful versions of it. You think you're ignored now? Wait until you don't do anything and you continue to be ignored. This is going to become, it may be nagging at you right now, but it's going to be outside of your head and screaming and pointing at you in the face later on. If you do nothing, you will regret it, because this is going to get worse. This thought will grow. This feeling will grow. This future will grow. Seven of Pentacles. Slowing down in the physical world. This person may not realize that they're working themselves too hard. There's a very real possibility they're going to burn out too. With no ground, with no basis. If you continue to act like nothing's wrong, they're going to continue to not be around. They may not feel that they're needed. I'm not trying to make this a sob story. I'm just trying to get in their head and let you know. They may feel like their work isn't as necessary. They may feel like they don't need to build the home. That it's not that big of a deal. So they start giving up necessarily on the home part of life. They may not feel it as necessary as it needs to be. They're slowing down. Their priorities may change. They may not want to buy expensive things or, you know, treat anybody to a good time. It may just, this person might become a workaholic. They literally become a workaholic, addicted to not being at home, addicted to being okay with you in the shadows by yourself. And then you have the King of Wands, which is power and authority. This person, now under the assumption that their work is validated because you're okay with it, is now the de facto king of the home, because they're the ones making the choices, they're the ones bringing home the bacon, they're going, more or less. I'll simple it up a little bit. Try to keep them simple. Try to keep them short, but man, look, if things continues as is, you're going to become miserable more than you are now, Aquarius, and they're going to become controlling. I mean, that's where that leads. If you do something about it, if you get up and you say something, you get up and it's ultimately up to you, because your situation is going to be different from somebody else's. If your situation is you need to get up and stand in the way of the door and say, we're going to talk before you leave. If that's what you have to do, then you have to do it. If you're in a situation of hardship, maybe you need to look in the mirror and say, if I want things to be how I want them to be, maybe you need to figure out a way to bring home more money as well, so that they feel like the burden is not on them, to give you more sway in any conversation that may come along. Some people don't communicate well with reason, they communicate well with action. And you know who your partner is. You know if you making a physical move is going to affect their mentality, or if you making a rational communication with them will affect their mentality. But you got to, because the first one is the sun. The sun is a renewed passion, a bright future. It doesn't get better than the sun. Like, it's the sun. Things get better. You will have a renewed passion. They'll be able to get their priorities straight. That's where the mind will go. They have this 10 of Wands, which is burden, which is being overwhelmed. Now, this is because change isn't easy, okay? Change is not easy. If they've been doing this for a while and you're just now starting to realize that it's been going on and that it's bad, then they're already in a mindset. Most people, I'm included, most people cannot immediately slam on the brakes and change direction. When you slam on the brakes, you go sliding. You're out of control for a while, and then you can turn. The desire will be there for the best. The burden will exist. This person may come back with, let's say it's the burden situation where there's an undue burden in your life, the car broke down. This person may be defensive. Like, well, what are we supposed to do? If I don't work, how are we going to get things fixed? That's when you, Aquarius, being the smart, clever fox, well, what if I get with so-and-so and see if they can let us borrow something? Find a solution. Think of something outside of the box so those wheels start turning. Wait a minute, there is another option? Wait a minute. So you're saying that we could sell the old car and buy a new one, and you'll pick up ours somewhere so they don't have to work as hard. That just might work. And they can stop being a butthole thinking that they own everything. There's options. Any option you can think of, just to make it known that you're not just in the back seat of a broken down car. See what I did there? But that ultimately leads to that 9 of Cups, which is satisfaction, emotional satisfaction. You will get what you need. You will be able to satisfy this one right here. You have the opportunity for satisfaction. But it's going to take action. Sitting on your hands, sometimes sitting on your hands is the best course of action. Sometimes it truly is. If somebody's throwing a fit, somebody's yelling and screaming, sometimes not saying anything is the best possible idea. This is not one of those situations. If they're yelling and screaming, you yell and scream back. Because if you don't, you're destined for you're going to be lying to your friends, telling them everything's great a lot more if you let this continue on unchecked. Simple as that. So Aquarius, you got this. Aquarius, you got this. You're strong. You're smart. Just use your mind. Think of what you have in your corner to leverage in this relationship to make it work. What can you bring to the table? Are they just working mindlessly when there's other opportunities for them? Are they working in a coal mine when, you know, you literally have the phone number to, I mean, I guess coal mines make decent money. They're in a low paying job just working harder when you have the keys to a higher paying job that doesn't require as many hours that you could get them into. Like, I don't know your exact circumstance. You do. You know the cards that you have as leverage. You know how to talk to this person. You know who they are. You know if they respond to action or words more than the other. You have that power. Oh my goodness. Use it. All right? So with that, Aquarius, I do appreciate you sticking through the video, hearing what I have to say. Yeah. And with that, I'll see you next time.